Brian from Boulder, Colorado hit me up today. He said, could we be seeing 2007 all over again? 2007, for you kids in the audience, was total insanity. I don't know how else to describe it. You need to go, you just need to go read about the 2007 season in college football. A 2-loss non-conference champ won the title, and it was in the 2-team playoff era. That's how crazy it was that year. So just to give you an idea, like we're talking about the 4-team playoff and how not a single 2-loss team has ever made it into the 4-team playoff. Back then, we only had 2 teams, and a team lost 2 regular season games, didn't make the conference title game, still got put in the BCS title game and won it. That team would be LSU. These are dangerous times, kids. Dangerous time. I'm talking to kids. I'm talking to 80-year-old men watching this show. Dangerous times right now. I think we are approaching a mass chaos event in college football. I think that the stuff that's going to end up shaping conference title races and playoff races, it hasn't even happened yet. And it's dangerous because I'm hearing people write Clemson off. I'm hearing people write Alabama off. I'm hearing people watch Ohio State's quarterback play, and even though they haven't lost a game, just assume they will, and writing them off. People have written LSU off. People have written A&M off. And I'm thinking to myself, hold on a second now. The danger in thinking that way, in a normal year, is obvious. But the danger in thinking that way in mid-September of a season that could shape up like this one is you're using a normal season as your barometer for what can and can't happen. This is not going to be a normal season. This is not a season where you have the sport chock full of elite quarterback play and you're going to have a clear separation of a tier 1 and 2 or 3 of the playoff spots are virtually decided, and maybe you're shuffling and jockeying for position for the 4th one. All of them are up in the air. Every single conference is up in the air right now. Every single playoff spot will be up in the air, and you're saying things like, well, Alabama can't make the playoff with that quarterback play. Well, Clemson can't make the playoff with that wide receiver play. In a normal year, you're probably right. This is not a normal year. This is the kind of year where you have 2 lost teams in the playoff. This is the kind of year where you leave a team for dead and like 2 weeks before Halloween, and by early November, they're the favorite to win the conference, and you're like, where did this come from? Craziness, chaos. That's what this season has in store. Also, think about what November could be. And if you want to really talk about crazy, let's loop another theme in. Let's just say I'm right. And let's just say none of the conference races are decided as we enter November. But we also have the mass chaos that's victimized some teams. We could have 5 Power 5 races up in the air in the last year of the Power 5 as we know it. Therefore, we could have a totally murky playoff picture, and you could also have high-profile hot seat conversations like Jimbo at Texas A&M, and this could all be happening as we as a country give thanks in the last week of November. And I'm like, I'm in the content creation business. No one's more thankful than me. Prayer emoji. Prayer's answered. But also, for anyone out there who seeks that kind of ending to the season, you thought it couldn't happen. And I'm not going to do the whole spiel about cannot versus have not, but it's important to know. I think that it was always possible. One of my favorite mottos is the sport never sits still. College football was never just going to sit still and let 2 or 3 teams run it. And you didn't need to change the structure of it necessarily. It was always going to evolve. That wasn't always going to be the case. It's like I could flip a quarter on this table right now. I could just thump it, and it could be perfectly spinning. You could look at that quarter for 5 seconds and say, that thing's never going to stop spinning. Yes, it will. There are forces acting against that quarter. You just can't see them. And it may spin for a little while, but eventually it's going to go, and it's going to land on the table. There are always forces acting against the best programs in the sport. You just may not be able to see them. Sometimes they're from within, by the way. But it can happen, and it has happened this year. Now, speaking of 2007, here's why television networks, you know what? Forget television networks. I work for one. Forget them for a second. Here's why more of the country is going to be engaged. In 2007, what was crazy about it is these programs that are normally never in contention, like Kansas, for example, just came out of nowhere. They were in contention. I think South Florida made some noise that year. Well, this year, the new teams at the party are like Texas or Florida State or maybe USC cracks the playoff. These are some of the premier brands in college football that should have never been away, but they have been away. And all of a sudden, that's a lot louder knock on the door. Like that just gets more eyeballs to the screens. And I know that that's not a theme we like to hit on this show because I always try and tell you guys, if you care about it, don't worry about if anyone else cares about it. Like if you love Iowa State football, don't worry about what TV rating they're doing this Saturday. Just enjoy Iowa State. And good for us, by the way, for paying the Bobcats of Ohio a visit. Don't say we won't go on the road. So some teams have stumbled already. Other teams will stumble eventually. The things that are going to shape these races in November have not even started to happen yet. I mean, Clemson is a one-loss team. LSU's lost a game and it's not even in conference. Bama's lost a game, it's not even in conference. Like these teams, any one of those teams could catch a favorable wind in their sail and not lose another game. And we could find ourselves, and I know it'll happen because we do it every year, we could find ourselves in November saying, wow, if this team was playing like this in week 1, they never would have lost a game. It happens all the time. This is college football. Some of the guys you're starting right now were in high school last year. This is not the pros. Teams are not nearly as fixed product in week 1 at this level as they sometimes are at that level. So, yeah, I think we got a lot of chaos in store for this year.